Hey, what's up, guys? Long Island Audit here, back again with another video. The NYPD continues to prove themselves as tyrants and corrupt tyrants at that. Let's get into it. Alright, guys, apologies for my mic. My mic just broke, so hopefully you all can hear me just fine. Let me know in the chat if everybody can hear me. So I wanted to bring this article towards everyone. I wanted to bring this out in front to every single person that I possibly can. NYPD officers brag about milking overtime, call detainees names in accidental recording. This is why recording the police at all times is so important, ladies and gentlemen. Audio, visual, just record the police in any public setting. And if you're on your private property, 100% record the police as well. Because look what the police say, specifically here the NYPD, when they think no one is listening. So here, this is an article from The Gothamist. It was written by Jake Ofenarts. Hopefully I pronounced his name right. So it starts off, Jonathan Wall's arrest last September was about as routine as they come. The 35-year-old construction worker was staging a one-man protest against his union, recording himself on his phone as he stood in the lobby of the Midtown offices of Laborers Local 79. When security asked him to leave, he refused, and the building called the police. In a strange twist of technological fate, Wall's phone, which at this point was in possession of the police, kept on recording. For nearly 8 hours, as Wall paced around a holding cell in the Midtown South Precinct, his phone picked up conversations among dozens of cops who did not appear to know they were being recorded. The tape, which was reviewed by the Gothamist, offers a rare window into the daily work of a police officer behind closed doors. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, their job is so scary and officer safety, and they work so hard, and they're heroes, and they're here to protect and serve us, and they're here for the benefit of us, and let's see what goes on behind the scenes when no one's watching. And the ways that a number of recent criminal justice reforms have changed the way officers process, arrest, and collect overtime. In contrast to the comments from top NYPD officials who have spent years lobbying against bail reform, rank-and-file officers offered another perspective, suggesting the additional paperwork required by the new law had been a boon to their paychecks. The almighty dollar, ladies and gentlemen, the taxpayer's dollar. Your dollar and my dollar. Our money. We the people's money. Bail reform sucks. This is a quote. Quote, bail reform sucks, but it is also one of the best things that's ever happened, too. Wall's arresting officer Sean Enright said to a co-worker in the recording, God is great, bro. End quote. The NYPD declined to make Enright available for comment on this story and declined to comment as an agency. The Police Benevolent Association, the union representing the rank-and-file police officers, did not respond to requests for comment. Of course, the union had nothing to say. Of course not. But when we exercise our rights to remain silent, it's always an issue. But they're being very silent on this. And this was dated just April. A viewer sent this to me April 7th. So just 4 days ago, this was written. So this is recent. This is the gentleman in question, Mr. Wall. Milking it. Wall, a father of 4 who grew up in the city's foster care system, spent roughly 8 hours. When I was arrested in the 61st Precinct of Brooklyn, I spent around 6 hours. So, 6 to 8 hours sounds about right for them to milk their overtime, ladies and gentlemen. 8 hours waiting for his desk appearance ticket, which notifies defendants of when they're next due in court, according to the tape. He said the cell was filled with feces and that his attempts to retrieve a bottle of water were met with insults. Eventually, he said one of the officers brought him a water inside a filthy cup. And I can 100% attest to this. When you're in those holding cells at the NYPD, they're disgusting. There's cigarettes everywhere. It's completely filthy and unsanitary. And they laugh at you. They'll mock you. They don't care about your requests. They don't care about any of that. Horrible, horrible NYPD gang members, thugs. At one point, roughly 3 hours after Walls was first placed in a cell, an officer, whom Gothamist could not identify, can be heard approaching Enright, then lowering his voice to ask if he plans to run some time. Quote, Run some time. Are you going to milk it a bit, the officer continued, or is it going to be quick? End quote. I'm going to make my money, Enright replied. I'm going to make it work. The comments appear to refer to the additional overtime that officers collect while processing arrests. Allegations of the practice, sometimes known as collars for dollars, have dogged the NYPD for decades. Decades, right? Decades of this controversy, decades of this going on. And if you're from New York City, you know that this is going on. You know the tyranny, you know the corruption happening for decades, right? But yet we, the people, can't affect any change. We can't come together and change the NYPD. Are they that powerful? Are they more powerful than the people? That can't be, because we're the ones that fund them. Over $1 billion, to the tune of over $2 billion. According to law enforcement experts who spoke to the Gothamist, processing a misdemeanor trespassing charge shouldn't take more than a few hours. The recording shows Enright spent an additional 5 hours writing up Wool's desk appearance ticket, which is one page. I'm sure they can do it in less than a couple hours, maybe an hour tops. Obviously, it doesn't take 8 hours to fill out a desk appearance ticket, said Christopher Herman, a former NYPD crime analyst, who now teaches at John Jay College. But if I needed some overtime, I'm going to make sure it takes a little longer than it should take. Sometimes mama needs a new pair of shoes. This is the mentality. This is the mentality of the NYPD, ladies and gentlemen. Disgusting. Mayor Eric Adams, where are you? Where are you? How are you? You're not in control of your city, of our city. We elected you to be in control of the city and run the police department, and you're doing a horrible job. Halfway through the fiscal year, the NYPD has already exceeded its annual overtime budget. In the previous year, the department spent $2.2 billion on overtime for officers. $2.2 billion. I know my mic's not working today, but I hope all of you can hear that clearly. $2.2 billion. Nearly double their allotted amount. The NYPD has defended the ballooning overtime as a consequence of staffing shortages and the need to respond to crime hotspots. Herman said it seemed likely that officers were taking advantage of changes to bail and discovery laws, which mandate that officers scan and upload additional material to rack up additional overtime. Paperwork overtime is easier than most other overtimes, he said. I'd rather do paperwork at a desk than stand out in the cold on New Year's Eve or get yelled at working the West Indian Day Parade. End quote. While Enright's voice is heard the most, the tape also captures others inside the precinct. At one point, an unknown officer approaches the recording device, appearing to disparage a woman he'd recently arrested as a liberal cunt. End quote. Again, I can attest to this. This is how they treat people that they've arrested. This is how they treat the public. Whether you're breaking the law or not, everyone deserves to be treated with respect, right? Especially when you're already in the cell, you're already being processed. There's no reason for you to be treating people like this. There's none, other than your ego, right? The ego of these NYPD officers putting on the cuffs super tight. As you'll see in a minute, we're going to talk really briefly about they slammed an old woman, a 61-year-old woman, to the ground, breaking her arm when she recorded in a police station, a precinct. Maybe that 18 hours that you spend on that effing cage in the back will change your mind about life a little bit, an unidentified officer said. Those kinds of people, nothing will ever be their fault, Enright replied. It wasn't immediately clear who they were talking about. Though Enright had spoken cordially to Wall during his arrest and even praised his cooperation per the tape, Enright's tone shifts in the company of his fellow officers. Of course it does, ladies and gentlemen. Of course, because they're smiling to your face. If you're that lucky, I wasn't. But then behind your back, you're a piece of garbage filth to them. Privately, he's heard in the recordings describing Wall as a professional victim and a total idiot. This is to show you that Mr. Wall probably thought that officer was being nice to him and treated him kindly, even though he just arrested him and took his freedom and I'm sure stole his property. But then he goes on to call him a professional victim, a total idiot, somebody who's standing up for his rights and protesting peacefully. It would be funny if I EDP'd him, an apparent reference to the NYPD's designation of some suspect as emotionally disturbed persons. Wow. It would be funny if he EDP'd him. putting him as an emotionally disturbed person. Excuse me, Officer Enright, you're an emotionally disturbed person. You should be reported. Wool, who does not have a criminal record, said his protest was aimed at calling attention to a racist foreman who he claims the union was protecting. Oh, the union protecting bad people, of course. As a member of the laborers Local 79, Wool maintained that he had the right to stand on union property. But even as Enright acknowledges in the recording that the case will likely be thrown out, he expressed strong confidence in Wool's guilt, saying that Wool had spoken to his lawyer prior to the arrest. Wool is currently suing the construction company he worked for over alleged discrimination. Anytime someone has a lawyer, chances are they're a perp because they know they're committing crimes, end quote. That is from Officer Enright. Anytime someone has a lawyer, chances are they're a perp because they know they're committing crimes. Or maybe, Officer Enright, we need attorneys because the NYPD and law enforcement across the country are taking advantage of the system, taking advantage of our rights, taking advantage of people who don't know the law or don't know our rights. Law enforcement's behavior has been disgusting. The Manhattan District Attorney declined to prosecute Wool for his arrest in September. Of course he did. At least he did the right thing there, didn't prosecute him maliciously. Later in the recording, while speaking to a supervisor, Enright appears to reference the Black Lives Matter stickers on Wool's construction helmet. By the stickers on his helmet, I could tell he was and then his voice trailed off. Yeah, I wasn't digging those, the supervisor said, whose identity could not be confirmed, but who Enright referred to as Sarge. Wool, who is black, said he was horrified by the remarks, which he said suggested his race as a factor in his mistreatment by the police. It's a game that the NYPD plays. They arrest people of color just to hold them in cells and out for hours and get overtime for it. Wow. Ladies and gentlemen, this is what's going on in the NYPD. This is what's going on in law enforcement in your area, throughout the country. Throughout the country. When is the time for we the people to stand up and not accept this and demand change? That's what we're trying to accomplish here in NYPD, in the New York City Police Department. We need change. We need change, 100%. So I also wanted to show you really quickly this article here. Officers broke woman's elbow in arrest at Brooklyn Precinct. Another Brooklyn Precinct. I was arrested at the 61st in Brooklyn. I believe she was arrested at a different one, the 62nd. A group of NYPD officers violently arrested a woman after she came to their Brooklyn precinct to pick up a police report of lawsuit charges. And footage provided by the attorney shows the alleged incident unfold. Patricia Rodney went to the 62nd precinct in Bath Beach on November 30th, 2020, after her insurance company told her she needed to file a police report before it could replace her glucometer she had lost. A lawsuit she filed against the city says. An officer told Rodney, who had diabetes, that she could pick up a copy of the report on December 2nd, according to the suit. When she returned to the precinct that day, however, officers there refused her request, the lawsuit claims. One officer told her that she would have to request a copy at the NYPD Manhattan's headquarters, according to Hellgate, which was reported on the lawsuit. Frustrated, Rodney refused to leave without one. The outlet reported, at which point the officers told her that her body cameras were recording her, according to the lawsuit. When Rodney held up her phone and said that she was recording them as well, they became agitated and enraged, the suit alleges. Ma'am, we're asking you to leave. You're not leaving. You're not allowed to record. One of the officers can be heard saying in the body camera footage obtained by Rodney's attorney. Rodney, who was not actually recording, but said to so because she was afraid that without knowing they were being recorded, they would abuse her. So she wasn't even recording, ladies and gentlemen, this woman, Mrs. Rodney. She was just saying she was recording to protect herself. I'm sure some of you have heard of this story already, but I just wanted to highlight it again because the lawsuit is still pending, to my knowledge. And That Surprise Witness, BJ, at That Surprise Witness YouTube channel, pointed me in this direction. That's when the officers handcuffed Rodney's wrist and shackled her ankles, pushed her to the ground, and began twisting her arms, causing her to cry out in pain. Breaking her arm, ladies and gentlemen. They broke this woman's arm, 61-year-old, for recording. She wasn't even recording. She just told them that for her protection. Again, in 2020, when this happened, the then mayor, and the now mayor, Eric Adams, should have done something about this. The NYPD commissioner should have changed this policy immediately. Why is it that the corrupt, tyrannical NYPD can record you, but you can't record them? Now let's look at their policy, right? Because they're always so big on their policies, ladies and gentlemen. Let's look at their policy. Again, thanks to That Surprise Witness, the YouTube channel, BJ. Go subscribe. She covers all the lawsuit from this woman and everything in way more detail than I ever could. So go check out her channel. The link in the description. The link to her video covering all of this, the NYPD's policy, the lawsuit, the amicus brief, everything in the description below. Go check her out. Let her know that LI sent you in the comments. So this she gave to me is their administrative guide. When a member of the public of the when the member of the service encounters an individual observing, photographing, and or recording police activity. So it starts off to say individuals have the right to lawfully observe and record the police activity, including but not limited to detention, searches, arrests, and uses of force. It goes on to say do not intentionally prevent or attempt to prevent an individual from recording police activities. Do not threaten, intimidate, or otherwise discourage an observer from recording police activities. Do not command an individual to cease recording when the individual is authorized to do so. Do not stop, seize, search, summons, or arrest an individual solely because the individual is recording police activities. Do not seize property or instruments used by an individual to record police activities. Do not delete or seize recorded images of police activity from an individual's recording device. Do not copy a recording of police activity without consent of the individual who made the recording. So in this part of the policy, right, it goes on to state basically do not interfere with the public's right to record the police in their activity, right? But then at the very end of this, right here, again, if you want to go in this in detail, that surprise witness, links in the description. Number 7 here at the end, I don't know if you guys can see it. Members of the public are not allowed to photograph and or record police activity within department facilities. Members of the service may order any member of the public who is photographing or recording within department facilities to stop such activity. If such person refuses to stop, then they should be ordered to leave the premises. If such person refuses to leave the premises, members of the service may take proper enforcement action under the trespass statutes, which I was charged with that trespass statute there, Penal Law Sections 140.05. That's the one I'm currently charged with for standing up for my rights and not leaving the police department. And again, they still confiscated my cell phone and GoPro, which is why I'm not able to bring you guys the video. So, but then it contradicts itself because it even says here, an individual cannot be arrested for, hold on, I saw it before. It goes on to say that they can sometimes, for an officer's safety, limit you. Right here, the right to lawfully observe and record the police activity extends to individuals in public places such as streets, sidewalks, and parks, as well as private property in which the individual has a legal right to be present. Excuse me. Public property is the NYPD precinct, the lobby. I have a right to be there. You have a right to be there. We, the people, have a right to be in the lobby. It specifically says if you have a legal right to be present, it extends to that. I have a legal right to be present in a police lobby. Everybody does. Every single person does. But yet they want to arrest me, arrest this woman, break her arm, take my property. I'm sure took her property. She filed a lawsuit. I'm extremely proud of her for doing that. She's fighting against tyranny. And this is what we all need to come together to do. Right now, ladies and gentlemen, I have a court date on April 23rd. It's a Sunday. I don't understand how the court system is open on Sunday morning, but I will show up on April 23rd because that's when it told me to show up. I will be going to the Brooklyn District Attorney's Office. Now, this is where we the people you need to unite. I want to say this before finishing this live. We the people you need to unite together. It's the only way we can affect change. The only way we can fight against tyranny. The legal way. I want to first say to everybody watching this, do not threaten violence to the NYPD or anyone. I get threats of violence and death threats. It's not cool. It's not the right thing to do. I have a family. I'm sure these NYPD officers have families. Whether they're tyrants or not, let's get them out the legal way. Let's protest. I'm right now setting up a huge mass audit / protest at the NYPD. I'm not going to discuss any details yet because I don't want to tip my hand, but a peaceful protest. We will not let the NYPD get away with this. But we the people need to unite. And how do we do that? By petitioning our grievances to our government. peacefully petitioning our grievances to our government. The public contact information for the Brooklyn District Attorney, Eric Gonzalez, I believe his name is. Let me double check. Don't want to give you wrong information. I believe his name is, let's check it out right here. Brooklyn District Attorney. Keeping Brooklyn safe and strengthening community trust. Right. Let's make this a little bit bigger. I'm going to end the live in a few minutes here, but this is the Brooklyn District Attorney here. His name's Eric Gonzalez. Again, keeping Brooklyn safe and strengthening community trust. You're not strengthening community trust by prosecuting a journalist, an independent journalist, for exercising their First Amendment right of freedom of press. That's not, where's the transparency of the police departments, Mr. Gonzalez, district attorney? So his contact information here, he is an elected official, unlike Connecticut, Corrupticate, where their state's attorneys are just appointed by a commission. Our district attorneys here in New York are elected. So he's an elected official. So his contact information is in the description below. His Facebook page, the Brooklyn District Attorney's Facebook page, as well as any phone numbers from the arresting precinct that arrested me and violated my rights. Everything is in the description below. Again, to peacefully petition your grievances to your government. It's the only way we the people can affect change. I truly appreciate each and every one of you. I truly do. Let me look at some of the comments here before I get out of here for a few minutes. It's horrible what they're doing. It's horrible. It's completely horrible what they're doing, ladies and gentlemen. It's horrible. We're going to hold them accountable. I promise you. I promise you I will continue to go to New York City. The worst part about New York City to me is that there's no parking anywhere. Horrible. Horrible. I'm going to have to take the train, the LIRR, to Penn Station, and then just public transit everywhere. If you see me out there in New York City, say what's up. I really appreciate you guys. Let me take a look at these comments here. I will release the video of my arrest as soon as I get it, whether that's through discovery or freedom of information law request. I did a FOIL request for the body camera footage, and they just answered me today. And you know what they said? We will have the information ready for you by August 22nd. August 22nd is when they're going to have the body camera footage ready for me. So hopefully I can get a little bit faster through discovery. So I will be contacting the Brooklyn District Attorney's Office tomorrow, as I'm sure many of you will be as well. So hopefully I can get through. Vision Corp, what's up? Victor Rice, Dave L, how you guys doing? I really appreciate you guys. I didn't want to be too long here. My mic just broke before this happened. But, we need justice for this woman here. We need justice. This woman, 61-year-old, 61 years old, said she was recording the police and they threw her to the ground, shackled her hands and feet, and broke her arm. Disgusting. Disgusting. Guarantee you none of those officers were held accountable. Guarantee you none of them were held accountable. Brooklyn District Attorney Eric Gonzalez, we the people are calling on you to do the right thing and drop the charge against me. So that way we can contact Eric. Mayor Eric Adams' contact information is in the description below as well. So far I've done Brooklyn, a precinct in Brooklyn, a precinct in Queens. So there's 3 more boroughs: Staten Island, Manhattan, and the Bronx. So stay tuned for those, because I promise you I'll go out to every single borough. That's a promise. But anyways, guys, let me know what you think about this one in the comment section below. I appreciate your help. Your help means the world to me, and I truly appreciate every single one of you. Let me be big here. I truly appreciate every single one of you. Without you guys, I can't do what I do. We've changed policies before, unconstitutional policies. We've done that. We've had mayors rip down signs. We have made change through lawsuits and everything else. We can do it together, and I truly appreciate you guys. Let me know what you think about this one in the comment section. As always, stay safe. God bless. I'll see you in the next video. Long Island Audit. Peace.